What is up? Short video today. We're gonna go over how to denoise all of your photos in Lightroom. New feature came out, AI, of course, new AI stuff to get rid of all of the noise in your photo, or just a little bit, or you could even add some, whatever floats your boat. So let's get into both Lightroom and Lightroom Classic because it's exactly the same and show you exactly how to use it, and let's just do it. So, you're in Lightroom or Lightroom Classic, and it looks exactly the same. And I'll start here, even in Lightroom Classic, just to make it easier. So let's say you zoom in a little bit and you notice there's some noise on your photo and you're just like, that doesn't look very good. Who needs the noise in the photo? Sometimes it can look good, sometimes it doesn't. Obviously this photo would be cleaned up a little bit more, getting rid of a person and stuff. But for today's purpose, we are simply just fixing it. So number one, you're gonna have a bunch of menu options over here on the side, and you probably know most of these from editing your photos. However, you might not always go into the detail section. And if you do, you would notice in the past there was a sharpening section, and there was also a noise reduction manual. I don't think it was called manual before, it was just called noise reduction, but that's where you can manually get rid of noise, and it just kind of basically smooths everything out itself. However, the new denoise button is just a button you press, and then it loads for a second depending on your computer's processing power, and then you can zoom into whatever part of the photo that you want. I'm gonna zoom into the couple because it makes more sense, and I'm going to mess with this slider until I feel comfortable with the amount that it's added. Now obviously if you go all the way up to 100, it's gonna be too much, and I'll show you an example here in a second. Otherwise, it does a decent job at getting rid of some noise. So after you are happy with your decision, and when you hit enhance, it'll load for a second, and then it'll create a new photo, similar to when you do something like in Photoshop. If you do some content aware or whatnot in Photoshop, it will make it an entirely new photo and put it in a different spot. So now you'll see when I zoom in, it's pretty well, ungrained. There's no grain, there's not much left. And that's really dependent on how much you decide you want to take out. So that's one example. That was a pretty minor example just because I wasn't able to take this photo with a tripod. I had to up my ISO and it added some noise. I wasn't honestly too mad about that photo with the noise, but if we look at some other photos here, like this one, for example, created in Switzerland, I had to have my ISO up really, really high. So if I zoom in here, you can see how grainy and noisy this photo is, and it looks pretty bad when you zoom in. Zooming out, it looks fine. Even this ice looks like really good until you zoom in. So what I'm gonna do, and this is in Lightroom now, just the regular Lightroom, the cloud version. It's the same deal. You've got all of your tabs on the right side, your menus. Same name, it's called detail. You can do sharpening if you want. And there's also still your manual noise reduction, but we're gonna hit denoise again, and you'll notice that the exact same menu option pops up. However, I cannot see anything because it's just a blue wall. So I'm gonna zoom into my face, and you can see the difference it makes when you make it like 100%. But this is kind of what the photo looks like normally. You can even add grain or reduce it in a way, or you could just go up a little bit to where you feel comfortable. Now at 100% or 100 amount, you'll notice it makes me look really, really, really smooth, and that's just unnatural. So instead of it looking like this, I would probably just go up to here to make it look a little bit more, normal, rather than either super smooth or super grainy. And again, it creates a DNG file. You'll see that up here. It's a whole new photo, and it adds it to the end, sometimes right next to your photo. And then you can go ahead and zoom in, and boom, it's a lot smoother now. Now, obviously you have to be careful with how you utilize this because it can make or break the photo and make you look too weird. But I'll go over one more example here just because it's a little bit of a different photo. All right, so this photo, from the looks of it, looks good so far. But if, again, you zoom in and you got a lot of grain, a lot of noise in that background, because I had to raise my ISO because it was nighttime and I didn't have a tripod I could use on the Eiffel Tower because they don't let you. So basically, I honestly wouldn't even mess with this photo most of the time because the grain is fine, but it's not a photo where grain is really meant to be there. It's not an artistic style I would personally add to this photo. So we'll hit the grain option, and it zoomed into a pretty good spot already. And this photo, you could even go up to 100, and I'm gonna do that for an example here, just so you can kind of see what it does versus doing like partial of what you would want to do. All right, so it created its photo, it denoised the photo, and we can zoom in here and we can see that it looks really good. I mean, the sky looks normal, and this is a really good example of how you could push Lightroom and its AI to its limits here, because this is a photo where if you smooth it too much, you can't really tell that you did it. I mean, there's really not much tell in this. There's not like skins or people that you could use to tell that it was really, really smoothed out. So you could really utilize this a lot. And I think it's a lot different, in my opinion at least, than just doing the manual noise reduction. If I were to take this same photo and do the manual noise reduction, it would look like this. And you'll notice with this photo that it does look really smooth. I mean, like the edges of the building and everything just looks super smushed and almost pastel. It looks like a painting almost when you zoom into things. I mean, it just doesn't look the same as the other photo. I'll use this building as a pretty good example here. And the sky almost looks cloudier when you look at the two different photos here. So looking at this photo, you can see how crisp this building is and how nice the photo and the background and everything looks compared to that last photo I showed you where everything was a little weird. But you can see the real difference, especially this building. It was almost like fuzzy with how, smooth it was. So that's kind of the AI Denoise feature in Lightroom. It's something that you should definitely be using if you are editing photos with a little bit of noise, because it's going to really help you out, because the manual noise reduction just doesn't work that well comparatively. So as time goes on, AI gets better. We're gonna make photo editing so much easier. So stay tuned for some more AI photo editing tips and tricks. We're gonna be going over some AI culling and AI editing programs to see if they're worth using. But that's really it for today, guys. And we'll see you next time.